Hello. In this video, we are going to work through a couple example problems just to make sure we understand some of the mechanics of conditional structures. Now, what I want to highlight here before we dive into this is we haven't learned loops yet. We're going to do some things that are rather inefficient, and in a later video, we'll come back and talk about how to optimize this. So, the first question is we want to be able to take 6 inputs and count the number of inputs that are less than 10. So, this is a really simple idea here. We're going to say value, and we're going to take an input, and we're going to say input value. And because I have to check if, I have to actually check if it's less than 10, that means I'm applying an inequality, I have to cast it to an integer. It's really important to remember that all inputs are taken as strings, and if I want to do something numerical with it, I have to change the type. So all I have to do here now is I have to say if val is less than 10, count equals count plus 1. Now this is actually going to give me an error right now. And what the error is that because I'm setting up a self-referencing assignment statement that references count, it gets here, it doesn't know what count is yet. So I have to actually come to the top here and say count equals 0. So this is a really common way to keep track of things. You just make a variable, and every time you come across that, you just increment it by 1. So this is the core essence of this problem, and all I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this logic and I'm going to paste it 6 times. So we have it once, twice, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, notice I only declare the counter once. So essentially what I do is 6 times is I take an input from the user, I cast it to an integer, and then I just check if it's less than 10 and I increment count by 1. So if I come to the bottom here, I can print out some message. I can do something like print, you have entered a number less than 10 plus count times. And I'm going to use the comma format in the print so I don't have to change count into, let's close that. There we go. So now I don't have to change count into a string because it can handle a numeric type by using the comma. So if I run this now, oh, it's running my old program. Let's right click, let's run this. Input value 3, 4, and then if I put 11, 1, 11, 11, you have entered a number less than 10 3 times. And this, I don't like the look of that there, so I'm actually going to come down. So I'm going to change this to the word 10, because now it doesn't look like just 103 poorly formatted. Okay. Now, like I said, this is not actually the best way to do it. Eventually, what you'll notice, and I want you to notice this now, is that this code is repeated. And because it's repeated, it actually becomes really useful to put this inside a loop. All right, let's do the second question. Take 10 inputs and print the total of all inputs greater than 10. So this question is very similar, with the difference here is that now we're trying to calculate the total. Whereas in this question, we're counting the number of inputs that are less than 10. In this question, we're adding them up now. So I'm going to make a variable called total and set it equal to 0. And I'm going to say val equals input number. And I'm going to actually cast it to an int right away. And again, this has to be an integer because I'm using an inequality to compare it, but furthermore, I'm actually adding it if it is less than 10. So I'm going to say if val is less than 10, oh, sorry, all inputs greater than 10. So if val is greater than 10, we're going to say total equals total plus val. And that's it. So we take our input, we check that if it's greater than 10, and then we add it to our total. So we need to do this 10 times, so I'm going to copy this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So if I run this now, oh, this is our first problem. So if we go 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Oops, I crashed it. Let me actually come up here and comment out our first problem. So I can comment a large swath of code by using the, so if we take this / and come to the bottom, get that one out, there we go. So now that first chunk of code is commented out. Let's run this. Oh, you know what I never do? I never output a value. So let's print the total of all numbers greater than 10 is total. And actually I want the period to be right next to it, so I'm going to say plus str. So because I want this period to be right up against the number, I don't want to use the comma notation there. So if I do something like, so we're going to put 15, 15, and all our other numbers now will be less than 10. So 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. And sure enough, the total of all numbers greater than 10 is 30, which is 15 plus 15. Again, just to close up this video, this is not an efficient way to do this problem, but it does help highlight the idea of calculating a running total. What we want to do eventually is put this inside a loop, and we will do that in a later video. Hope that helped.